Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my NFL Week 5 review. I didn't even think I was going to get this video out, honestly. I have just found some time. Obviously, if you watched my last video, I said, I've been dealing with some shit IRL. Haven't been able to do much videos. Everything's coming out late. But I've actually found a huge gap right here where I can get some videos out. I just thought I was going to do the prediction video, but I'm a dog, and I'm doing the review. So we're getting two videos posted in one day. So with that being said, like and subscribe and help a comment. Always helps. Let's get straight into this thing. So Seahawks at Cardinals. This game feels like it happened an eon ago. I said the Cardinals would win this with James Conner being hurt. I honestly thought that this was kind of a blessing for the Cardinals offense because it felt like once Conner got hurt, the offense started to open up and we started to look downfield, and we actually should have beaten the 49ers had Zay Jones, not dropped that 3rd and 9 and gotten concussed on the play. So I was like, the Cardinals actually got some momentum. And I mean, we are probably the best 2-2 team in the league right now, but that's still just not good enough. This game wasn't very close if you actually watched it for a very long time. The Cardinals got off up 3-0 before they just let the Seahawks completely turn this thing into a domination. They got up 17-3 in the third quarter. We managed to make it 17-6. And, we finally scored a touchdown with 5 minutes and 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter. It took all game to come back, and then a kicking error, and then a one pass. They just kick a game-winning field goal. I mean, I hate to say it. Well, something that's absolutely ridiculous is Kyler Murray didn't run the ball a crazy amount, and he was our leading rusher. He had 5 carries for 41 yards, and one of those was a pretty big run. Trey Benson was our second leading carrier. He is now on the injured reserve. I don't even know how he got hurt. I'm not sure they really know when he got hurt either, but they placed him on the injured reserve. He's not going to be back for about 4 to 6 weeks. So now our super run-heavy offense that Drew Petzing has schemed up together already looked like shit going into this year and has collapsed in on itself even more. We need to turn into a passing offense, and things could get ugly for the Cardinals really quickly, especially since we have the Titans this week. You lose to the Titans, that's a horrible loss. But, with these two losses, the thing that really sucks about them for the Cardinals is they are conference losses. You are now 0-2 in the conference. You're barely losing, and they're quality losses, but they're conference losses. So now you can't, unless you beat the Niners and the Seahawks twice and you sweep the Rams, you're not really in a playoff spot. You have to just get lucky and somehow sneak your way in. There's no winning the conference here. And even then, this conference is so loaded, I don't even know if the Cardinals have a shot at winning the conference. The Rams look super good right now. Seahawks look pretty good. The Niners are iffy. I feel like they could fall apart with all their injuries. And then there's the Cardinals. The Cardinals are sticking out like a sore thumb right now. And unfortunately, we have been super competitive. We do have a really good defense, but we just look worse than the rest of the conference. And unfortunately, losing a game like this at home, showing off your tortilla uniforms that are probably one of the coolest uniforms in the league, you just can't lose a game like this. And Marvin Harrison, obviously, we all know he looks so bad in the large majority of this game. Stopping on his route when Kyler Murray throws the ball goes straight into the safety's hands. Didn't really matter because they would fumble it on the interception. We get the ball back for a 5-yard gain. But then there's the catch in his hands that he can't hold in, and it goes straight into the Seahawks player. I mean, you just can't let stuff like that happen, Marvin. That was also a touchdown drive. We were moving the ball. The Cardinals very well could have won this game. We didn't, and it's just going to sting, just like the 49ers loss. And now it's like losing Trey Benson. You take 2 bad losses, you get made fun of, and it's like you just are going to start losing momentum unless you can start picking up some big wins, but it only gets harder from here. The Rams, they're later in the year. They're hard, but we've got, after the Titans, we got at the Colts and then the Packers. Good luck, Cardinals. Good luck. Vikings at Steelers. The Steelers actually looked pretty good in this game. Of course, I didn't watch a damn ounce of it because this shit was being played at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, I'll pass. At least for me, it was being played 6:30 in the morning. I am waking up for all that. but the Steelers actually had less yards of offense. The Vikings just had 2 turnovers. The Vikings are playing like the Cardinals in some ways. One of the games it worked out for them against the Bears, but, the Steelers had a field goal get blocked by the Vikings, so that is also something to take note of. But, Minnesota gets down 24-6, and it takes them until the fourth quarter, just like the Cardinals, to potentially bring this comeback back to life. But then they're forced to go for a 4th and 17 at their own 32, in which they don't get. It's like you got to turn up sooner. You got to play better sooner. And Carson Wentz, he's not bad, but I'm struggling to put my finger on the Steelers as a football team because, they're 3-1 miraculously with a 2-point win against the Jets, a 7-point win against the Patriots, in which the Patriots had 5 turnovers, and then a 3-point win against the Vikings, which was their only set-in-stone win. And their loss is against the Seahawks, in which the Seahawks pretty much got a free touchdown on a failed kickoff, just something they should forget about for the rest of their life. I mean, the Steelers play the Browns next and then the Bengals. The Steelers could get off to a really hot start, even though I don't really think they're that crazy good of a team. But the conference right now, that conference is kind of wide open. The Steelers control their destiny. Is Aaron Rodgers the answer? Maybe, maybe. Chargers at Giants. Wow. I was not expecting this one. The Giants have not looked good this season, all right? The Giants have not looked good. All right, they were 0-3 entering this game. Sorry if my mic sounds weird. I have to itch my eye. They were 0-3 entering this game. 21-6 was final score of the Commanders game. They blew an overtime loss against the Cowboys, in which Brandon Aubrey just shot a bazooka off his foot to put it to overtime. And then they just got destroyed by the Chiefs. Nothing much to that. But I mean, maybe. Jackson Dart's the answer because, guys, the Chargers are a damn good football team. But unfortunately, in these first 3 games, Justin Herbert looked like he might take the helm of the best quarterback in the league. Then he decided to go back to Justin Herbert that we know. He threw some bad interceptions in this game, which led to easy points for the Giants. In terms of the Giants' offense, they actually weren't really good. And actually, Jackson Dart wasn't particularly good. He was 14 for 21. Wait, here, give me 1 second. Let me look for this. I'm sorry. He was 13 for 20. 13 for 20. I wonder if Russell Wilson came in for a pass, and he took a sack also. I don't know how many times he was in. He had a QBR of 0.6. Nice. But Jackson Dart was 13 for 20, 111 yards, a touchdown, but again, that was given by a very short field, and that was off of a shovel pass. But he took 5 sacks for 25 yards. He wasn't particularly good. He was good on the ground, though. He had 10 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown, and the touchdown run was pretty good. But I know it's going to sound biased, but honestly, the star of the show of the Giants offense was Cam Skattebo. I mean, 25 carries, 79 yards isn't a particularly good stat line, but it was the better part of the offense. They had 161 rushing yards. So the other running backs involved that wasn't just Cam Skattebo was they were moving the ball, or I guess Jackson Dart and Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary did all right. He had 7 carries for 28 yards, longest being 8 yards. But, I mean, it just came down to a rushing attack. But all in all, the offense, I would say the star of the Giants' offense, in quotations, there was no real – there really shouldn't be a star. The offense didn't do good against the Giants. They scored 21 points because they were hand-fed short fields in which they scored off of. And, of course, the big thing about this one is Malik Neighbors got hurt, and he's torn his ACL, and he's out for the year. How do the Giants move on from this? They don't. They're going to drop down to probably the worst team in the league. The other another key point in this game was the Chargers had 14 penalties for 107 yards. They were doing everything in their possibility to lose this game. The Chargers still are a really good team. This is just a stupid loss to take. And they were really just beating themselves down by making their own mistakes. They were just destroying themselves. And ultimately, Justin Herbert took a really bad game-ending sack. And the Giants take their first win, and it's probably against the best team in the league right now. If Justin Herbert doesn't make really bad mistakes now, the batted pass at the line for an interception, you could make a point that that wasn't necessarily his fault. And, the batted pass itself was his fault, but the interception, that is so hard to do. That's just a great play by Sexy Dexy. But the other interception just was not good. Set him up for another short field. And the Giants shouldn't even be remotely winning this game, but yet they are. And good for the Giants. That's a huge win. Titans at Texans. Yikes. As Cam Ward said, man, we ass. Yep. Titans are horrible. They dropped down to 0-4. I think the second or tied for the worst team in the league. Oh, three-way tie for the worst team in the league. The Titans, haven't really had any opportunities. They've kind of just gotten destroyed in every game they've played, and this one was even worse because something that I thought was set in stone for the Titans as a football team was they've got a kicker, and they kick field goals. Nope, not this game. And I've also noticed that for a lot of this game, the Titans, for a lot of this year, the Titans have actually managed to go into halftime playing a super competitive game. It's usually when the third or fourth quarter comes along, they just lose it. And that was kind of the same thing here. They missed 2 field goals, and it would have been 6-6 going into halftime. But come fourth quarter, the Texans' 3 drives were touchdown drives, and that was just it. The Titans couldn't put up a point. Titans are not that good. Unfortunately for me, I had the Titans and the Texans in the playoffs. I didn't expect the Titans to be this bad. Like, they weren't super god-awful last year. They were bad, but they weren't god-awful or anything like that, They're god-awful this year. It's like you pick up the number 1 overall pick at quarterback who's shown many flashes, and you're just even worse than last year? Like, what? Who knows? Commanders at Falcons. This was probably like my one good pick of the week was picking the Falcons off of their mind-boggling loss to the Panthers, which we'll get more into later as well. They got 30 dropped on them, and they didn't put up a point. There was a lot of question marks around that loss. Like, what in the world happened there? They bounced back. I didn't think I actually thought Jaden Daniels would be playing in this game, but I still picked him. I guess it was still Marcus Mariota, who is trash, to say the least. Trash. Falcons pick up a win here. Pretty close game. I mean, you can't ask for more when it comes down to a player like Bijan Robinson. You literally cannot ask for more. Y'all, he is the team. He had 17 carries for 75 yards and a touchdown. 4 receptions for 106 yards and no touchdowns. He had a catch and run for 69 yards. Like, he was the team. Michael Penix got to stat pad along him pretty well. But also, I mean, Michael Penix has just been playing really good. Kyle Pitts is getting involved. 5 catches for 70 yards. Drake London, 8 catches for 110 yards. They've got a pretty interesting offense and a good defense for the most part. 1 interception thrown by Penix. I think Penix is still in a very good spot. He had an uncharacteristic game against the Panthers. Shake off, get the cobwebs off, even though it was week 3. You bounce back with a big win. You unfortunately lose game 1 against the Buccaneers because your kicker can't kick a field goal. And, probably would have gone to OT at the minimum. And they might have lost, but who knows? You at least don't get the opportunity because of your kicker. And then you just drop a pooper against the Panthers, which probably won't happen again. They get the Bills this week. I'm very interested in that game. That will be very interesting. But the Falcons are a very good 2-2 team right now. Very underrated. Saints at Bills. This was very surprising. The Saints coming off of their absolute annihilation by the Seahawks, like 44-13 or something like that, if I'm the GOAT, and I remember that score perfectly. The Saints I said they were going to get destroyed. First 2 weeks, just like last year, the Saints played good. People start giving them playoff implications, and then they just cave in on themselves and play like shit. That's what it was looking like in week 3, but they actually bounced back, went into Billstown, and played a super competitive game. Guys, this is the best 0-4 team I've ever seen. Oh my God, it was 44-13. Holy. 44-13 is really bad, okay? There's nothing you can say about that. That is horrible. And the Saints got tickled. But week 1, very competitive game against the Cardinals. They dropped a game-tying touchdown. Week 2 against the 49ers, I forgot how they lost this. I think they had an offensive drive with an opportunity, but Spencer Rattler fumbled on like a 4th and 2 when it was just a pick up the first down situation. But, I mean, this game was competitive. It got 21-10, and you think things are going to get out of control. But then Spencer Rattler throws a touchdown, failed a 2-point conversion, but then they kick a field goal, make it a 2-point game. Of course, Josh Allen finally decides, hey, enough is enough, and throws a 28-yard pass to Dalton Kincaid. And then the Saints were not able to do much from there. But still, a 12-point loss against the Bills in Billstown. That's actually a really impressive performance, y'all. All right, the Saints might not be the worst thing ever. They may have some potential going into next year once they get some picks going. But Spencer Rattler hasn't looked super god-awful. Maybe just improve the team around him and he gets better. Not too sure, but I don't even know why you pick a quarterback in the second round just to let him sit on the bench and learn behind Spencer Rattler. I don't know, man. That just doesn't make sense. Eagles at Bucks. I've seen it, all right? I've been shit-talking the Eagles. I didn't think they were going to be that good, and I thought they were going to find some bullshit-ass way to win this game. But I picked the Bucks because I thought the Bucks were pretty good. The Bucks lose this one by 6 points. But the Eagles were absolutely dominant in this one. They were up 24-3 before, the Buccaneers decided to try and climb their way in. Then they got up 31-13, and the Bucks started to rip off this big, comeback. It was actually 31-23, but they took a game-winning safety to ice the game. And yeah, I mean, the Buccaneers kind of got their butts kicked in this game. I think there's a blocked punt for a touchdown. Yeah, blocked punt touchdown definitely helps Philly out. But I mean, you take 2 punts on your first 2 opening drives, which only consisted of 5 plays and then 3 plays. Defense is shutting you down. Eagles offense goes right down the field and gets a touchdown, force a field goal. I mean, the Eagles defense was shutting down the Buccaneers in this game. And the one touchdown that the Buccaneers got to make it to go from 24-6 to 24-13 was a one-pass touchdown for 77 yards to Emeka Egbuka. And then, of course, a fumble by the Bucs set up the Eagles in close touchdown range. So that definitely helps out the Eagles. But ultimately, the Buccaneers, if they wanted to pull off some miraculous comeback, they had their opportunities. But Baker Mayfield threw an interception at the Philly 11. Can't throw an interception there. It's just really bad spot for an interception. And then you fail a 4th and 9 at the Philadelphia 37. Just you want to pull a comeback, you got to be better in those clutch scenarios. You can't let yourself get down so early. I mean, by all technicalities, now that I look at it, although a stat line is one thing, the Eagles only had 200 yards of offense to the Buccaneers 376. So actually, I mean, the Eagles did kind of bullshit their way through this one. But all in all, this one definitely made me look at the Eagles as a much better team as opposed to some of their other games this year where I don't think they have looked like such a good team. Browns at Lions. Browns, I kind of was starting to think like, hey, maybe the Browns are a playoff team, but then Joe Flacco shat the bed and looked awful. And this game actually was close, all right? 10-34 looks a lot worse than it was, okay? 10-34 looks a lot worse than it was. Going into, like, the Browns started off with a touchdown drive. And, of course, then what does Joe Flacco do? He throws a horrible interception. It throws a horrible interception, which sets up the Lions for a 16-yard drive for a field goal. And then it turns into a punt war, which, again, another interception sets up the Lions for an easy touchdown. The Lions actually drove 6 plays, 44 yards to get a field goal right before halftime. Going into halftime, it was 7-20. It was looking bad. But then the Lions threw an interception in which of course, the Browns weren't able to find the end zone, but they found a field goal. And then they actually drove on their own drive to set up field goal range. But they decided to miss the field goal. Which kind of put this one away. Definitely put this one away. That would have made it 13-20, but instead the missed field goal, and then honestly they had another opportunity where there was the Lions failed to convert on downs, but then of course 3 plays, 3 yards, and Joe Flacco was just throwing incomplete passes, and then a punt return for the Lions to make it 27-10. And then a fumble by the Lions, and of course it was a sack on Joe Flacco where he just was standing still in the pocket, which led to another Lions touchdown. So the Browns, they had opportunities, and they just need to put in a new quarterback. Like, I'm sorry, Joe Flacco is old. He had his year with the Browns, like his weird playoff year with the Browns, 2 years ago or something like that? I think it was 2 years ago where he managed to, I think they got destroyed by the Texans. It was either they got destroyed by the Texans or they destroyed the Texans. I don't really remember. But, he's too old now, man. You have Dylan Gabriel. You have Shedeur Sanders. You have options. Use your options, all right? You're 1-3. Stop putting in 40-year-old Joe Flacco in to try and make a playoff run. Get your rookies out there. Let them make something happen. If they suck ass, then put them behind Joe Flacco. Let them learn. But at least let them see the field in an NFL game. I don't know why Joe Flacco's still out there, especially, he didn't even really win the game for them against the Packers. The defense did. They scored 13 total points. And they don't score any points in any of these games. You got to get something offensively going because you got one of the best defenses in the league. Just take Joe Flacco out, man. Panthers at Patriots. Panthers, can you figure it out? Unfortunately, I picked the Panthers. I do feel like the Patriots have gotten a little unlucky this year. Week 1, they just lost to the Patriots. They lost to the Raiders fair and square. Week 2, they pulled off a crazy game against the Dolphins and won. Week 3, they had 5 turnovers, 4 fumbles against the Steelers, and they're only losing by 7 points. They were by far the better team. Should have won that game. And now they drop an absolute dookie on the Panthers in a game where the Patriots actually felt, really good. They have 2 defensive touchdowns, which definitely helps, but they still scored the rest offensively, and Bryce Young was benched for yet another season. He actually started to look like he was going to have a resurgence last year. He started to put together some good games, upset the Cardinals, killed their playoff spirits. Fuck you, Bryce Young. And he actually started to put together a decent Panthers team, that looked like it could be scary entering this year. And then it looked like they were going to achieve that potential against the Falcons and then poop the bed again. Now the Panthers are what, 1-3? I think you might have to just move on from Bryce Young, He gave us a flash of potential, and then he just played like shit for a lot of his games. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for Bryce Young. And the Patriots look really interesting right now. They could potentially turn into a playoff caliber team because their division is absolutely horrible, and they get a lot of free games in there. Jags at 49ers. I don't know why it's so tiny. I think I forgot to change that. But Jaguars pick up a big win here against the undefeated 49ers. They beat the 49ers on the road. Jaguars prove that they're actually a pretty good football team. And the Jaguars are now 3-1. Maybe they're not too bad, with their only loss being the Bengals. Go figure. But, Joe Burrow was healthy in that game, but they still lost to Jake Browning. Jake Browning put the game away. And Brock Purdy, honestly, he kind of looked worse than Mac Jones. Like, I understand the Jaguars are a better team, but dude comes back and 49ers fans are like, all right, we made it out of the Brock Purdy injury slump. Let's keep this momentum going. And then they turned the ball over a total of 4 times. He threw 2 interceptions. I'm not sure quite who fumbled. It looks like the first one wasn't his fault. But the fumble to lose the game, he fumbled off of a sack. Yeah. He got sacked and fumbled, and it was supposed to be on a game-winning drive, and yeah, that's just a bad way to lose it, man. And honestly, they were kind of just down in this game a lot. They didn't go for a field goal. They went for a 4th and 2 at the Jacksonville 26, and they couldn't convert it. The Jacksonville was just a better team, and honestly, Brock Purdy did not look good in this game. And you might be like, oh, well, all his players are injured. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it, right? Maybe he's not so good, huh? Now that he doesn't have George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, you fucking name it. Now that he doesn't have every elite player on the offense, he doesn't look so good. Go figure. Try play for the Cardinals, Brock Purdy. Cardinals at Rams. Cardinals at Rams. I'm such a dumbass. Colts at Rams. Colts should have won this game. Honestly, they should have won this game, but they absolutely blew it. Honestly, Daniel Jones came out at the start, didn't really look too pretty. Threw a bad interception early on, and the Colts turned the ball over 3 times. Daniel Jones threw 2 interceptions in this one. But they still were pretty good. I mean, the Rams had 462 yards of offense, so the fact that they only have 27 points is definitely super nice for the Colts. But we're forgetting something. The Colts had a touchdown, and he fumbled it at the 1-yard line because he was trying to celebrate. And then I think on the very, very next drive, the very next drive, the Rams threw a deep bomb touchdown. Yeah. Kick Daniel Jones. I'm trying to find where it is. Jonathan Taylor, he had a big touchdown, which was nullified by a penalty. I'm trying to find it where the freaking arm punt was, but I can't find it. But it was just one play, 88 yards to Tutu Atwell, a blown defense. The dude fell. And then Daniel Jones threw a game-sealing interception. The Colts should have won this game, but they lost. But all in all, these are 2 really good football teams. I'm annoyed because I picked the Colts and it would have been a nice upset pick, but the dude fucking dropped the ball at the 1-yard line being a dumbass. Just get in the end zone. Don't got to celebrate. Don't got to be cute because now you fucking lost the game for your team like a dumbass. Just don't fucking celebrate, bro. Once get into the goddamn end zone before you celebrate, bro. I don't understand why players can't wrap their head around that. Ravens at Chiefs. Ravens are kind of cooked. Lamar Jackson went out in this game with an injury. They've also just got a ton of crucial injuries right now. Ravens might be cooked, man. I'm glad I picked the Chiefs, but honestly, it wasn't even close. This last touchdown was like a breakaway run, I think, for the Ravens. It was a domination. The Chiefs absolutely shat on the Ravens, and it was not a good look for the Ravens. And Mahomes says, this is a playoff caliber team. No, the hell they're not. They've lost to the Lions, to the Bills, and to the Chiefs. Yes, that's a hard schedule, but those are all playoff teams. You can't beat them. You can't beat playoff teams. The Ravens' only win is against the Browns. That's all I have to say. Bears at Raiders. Dude, the Bears managed to pull this one off. I said the Bears would hit the road and get a win here against the Raiders, and they did. And honestly, the Bears shouldn't have won. Geno Smith is just playing like horse shit, bro. I mean, bro had 3 interceptions. He was 14 for 21, 2 touchdowns, which were short passes to GT, and 3 interceptions. GT had the game of his career. 21 carries, 138 yards, and a touchdown, with the longest carry being 64 yards. And then he had 2 catches for 17 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he wasn't amazing on the receiving end, but there was 2 touchdowns in there. He was a fantasy football machine. And he should have won this game for the Raiders on the floor. They were destroying them on the floor. But instead, they turned the ball over 4 times. And I don't even know if the fumble, I don't know who fumbled the ball. Maybe Gino got sacked. It looks like GT was actually the one who fumbled the ball. Unfortunate for him. But he had the game of his career. And unfortunately, they just weren't able to capitalize. This game was over. And they missed a field goal at the Chicago 36. Oh, the field goal was blocked. So it says sometimes it says blocked field goal, sometimes it doesn't. So they had a game-winning field goal and it got blocked. The Bears snuck this one out of their a-hole. And yeah, I mean, that's all there is to it. Packers at Cowboys. My God, what is happening to the fucking Packers, bro? A tie. Boo. No one likes a tie. I'd rather even see the Cowboys win this one, man. But it's huge for the Cowboys because all in all, the Packers are the Packers. But let's be real, bro. The Packers literally started off the season so good. They looked like the best team in the league, bro. They destroyed the Lions. They destroyed the Commanders. They were dominant on both sides of that. Just to turn around and lose to the Browns and then tie against the Cowboys. Is the home field advantage that important for the Packers? Because if so, they're in for a treat. They've got the Cardinals on the road, the Steelers on the road, Giants on the road, Lions on the road, Broncos on the road, Bears on the road, and then Vikings on the road. Like, dude, come on, Packers. Figure it the fuck out. I know they've got some injuries at wide receiver and whatnot, but yeah. And I think I forgot to make the final 2 slides. I think I just didn't even predict them at all. Let me actually check because I've got extra slides. Oh, well, here I did make predictions. I just forgot to make I did make predictions, but I just forgot to make the final score. I'm really close on this prediction. I said 27-28 Dolphins pick up a win. Final score was 21-27. Okay, 21-27. The Jets lose this one. They dropped to 0-4. Dolphins pick up their first win. Tyreek Hill obviously had a freak injury in this one, but this one was the Dolphins ball game. They were up 24-10 at a point. The Jets scored a touchdown with 1:49 left and a 2-point conversion to make it a lot closer. But unfortunately, Justin Fields actually had a really good game. He took 2 sacks for 19 yards. But he was 2 for 27, 226 yards, and a touchdown. He also had 7 carries for 81 yards. He was the leading rusher and a touchdown. He was actually tied with Breece Hall. Breece Hall had double the carries, though. Justin Fields actually had a really good game. It's just for some reason they weren't able to find points. The Jets had 400 yards of offense to the Dolphins 300. Oh, there it is. The Jets had 3 fumbles and 101 yards penalties and 13 penalties. So that'll do it. When you're just going to hand away fumbles. Yeah, one of them, a fumble, when they're about to score. They were at the Miami 6, and they fumble the ball and give it to the Dolphins. That definitely helps out. The Dolphins went 15 plays, 96 yards. They scored a touchdown. That's pretty impressive. But then right after that, they fumbled again. Justin Fields actually fumbled that one off of a sack. But that one didn't really account to much. The Dolphins went 3 plays, 0 yards, had a punt it. And then the Jets kicked a field goal going into halftime. And then right out of the gates, they fumbled on the kickoff, which led to a short. Yeah, they fumbled on the kickoff, which led to a short field for the Dolphins, in which they capitalized on. That was all the fumbles. So 2 fumbles led to touchdowns, and yet they're only losing by 6 points. Jets probably could have won this game, but good win for the Dolphins. Bengals at Broncos. Yeah, this one wasn't even close. I gave the Bengals the benefit of the doubt. I figured after their pathetic performance last week, they would be able to put on some form of points. And they actually got off to the scoring first. They kicked a field goal to get up 3-0, and that was the last time they would touch the scoreboard. Broncos win this one, 3-28. J.K. Dobbins, 101 yards on the floor. R.J. Harvey, 58 yards. Bengals couldn't really stop the run, but mainly Bo Nix was slinging the rock. He had 29 completions in 42 attempts, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, no sacks. The Bengals were just getting ripped apart by the Broncos. It wasn't a competition. The Broncos had 512 yards of offense to the Bengals, 159. And the Broncos had the only turnover of the game. They win 3-28. The Bengals are a shithole without Joe Burrow. And honestly, they were a shithole with Joe Burrow. They shouldn't have even won that game against the Jaguars. They somehow found a way. And I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. did kind of sell their elo in that one. But their only other win is a 1-point win against the Browns that they barely snuck out. So you know what? The Bengals were bad from the start of this year. And that's just what happens when you pay 3 players on the offense billions of dollars and just like leave the rest of the team just little scraps of little crumbs and stuff like. But that's all for this review video. I will try to do this one as fast as possible and get my prediction video out before I head out to work. So with that being said, a like and subscribe, and help a comment always helps. That's all for me. Adios.